Welcome to W&L Sports Weekly. I'm Jeremy Franklin. On this week's show, we'll speak with volleyball coach Bryan Snyder, men's cross country captain Cooper Baird, and women's soccer captain Megan Engeland. But first, a quick look back at the weekend in Washington in the athletics. Though many events were canceled due to Hurricane Florence, including the entire home slate, a few teams still saw action. Women's golf kicked off its fall season with the second-place finish at Huntington's MCC Intercollegiate. Women's tennis sent 3 players to the Hall of Fame ITA Grass Court Invitational in Rhode Island, where first-year Taylor Garcia led the Generals by going 2-1 overall. And field hockey fell 2-0 on the road to Elizabethtown. Joining me now is volleyball coach Bryan Snyder. Bryan, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Jeremy. Great to be here again.
While the new indoor athletic facility is being constructed, volleyball and basketball have moved into the Duchess Watt Tennis Center. How is your team adjusting to the new venue?
Yeah, pretty well, I think. We obviously, from a logistical standpoint, there have been a few adjustments. We've moved our start time back for practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays by 15 minutes. Just with some later class times those days, we have to give the girls a few extra minutes to get there and get changed and get through the training room. But really, other than that, it hasn't been much of an issue. The facility itself has been great. The floor is fantastic, much higher ceiling, so we're all really happy about that. Better lighting. Our facilities crew has been doing a great job switching out from basketball, PE to volleyball practice nets throughout the day so that we can get in there and do some individual work in the afternoons before practice. So really, it's gone pretty well, and we're pretty excited about it.
The Generals are currently 3-5 on the year. You've battled through some early season injuries and you've lost several tight matches. Do you feel like things are starting to come together for the team?
Well, we've had a really good week of practice, but not being able to play last weekend was kind of a missed opportunity. It would have been nice for us to see. We made a couple of changes in practice last week, and so we played tonight against Guilford, and hopefully we'll come out and play well there. But still a long way to go, and I don't know that we're quite where we want to be yet. We still are not 100% healthy and still trying to figure out what the lineup is going to be that gives us the best opportunity to win. But I do feel like we're making progress.
One luxury that volleyball has that maybe doesn't exist for some of the other W&L teams, you can play some tough out-of-conference matches and spread those out throughout the course of the season. This weekend you get to see a pair of NCAA tournament teams from last year. How does that benefit the team, not just to see those type of teams, but to do so on and off throughout the year?
Yeah, obviously it helps us maintain a higher level of play all throughout the year, because we can't really play faster or slower because we're constantly playing different teams of different tempos and different abilities. So it's really beneficial for us, and also just to see different teams. The ODAC teams all know each other so well, and so the scouting reports are very detailed, and everyone knows everyone's best player and what they're trying to do in every rotation. So everybody makes it hard on everyone else. There's not a whole lot of in-game adjustment because we kind of know exactly what we want to do and what they're going to try to do to us. Whereas when we face teams from out of conference, there's a lot of in-match adjustments that happen because we'll figure something out that we didn't see on video that they'll be doing live, or vice versa, that we'll try something a little bit different that may or may not work. So it's always good for us just to be able to practice our match adjustment opportunities.
What is the scouting report on the ODAC in 2018?
So I think it's pretty wide open. And again, having matches canceled last week, I think we don't really have a whole lot. I think there's only been 4 ODAC matches played thus far, so there's not a lot to go on. Obviously, Randolph-Macon will be good, as they are every year. Virginia Wesleyan, Lynchburg, Roanoke, they'll be up there. Guilford has been on the rise, and they're off to a pretty good start. Interestingly enough, Bridgewater looks like maybe they're potentially the team to beat. They have a big early season win over Marymount, who has already beaten both Randolph-Macon and Virginia Wesleyan. So it looks like Bridgewater's off to a really good start. And they brought back most everybody from last year. They lost a couple of key players, but they have a lot coming back, and looks like maybe they added a couple of new good players. So again, I think it's wide open. I'd say 5 or 6 teams there at the top all have a good shot.
Well, Bryan, thanks for joining us. Best of luck throughout the fall.
Thanks a lot, Jeremy.
I'm now joined by Megan Engeland, senior soccer captain from Yardley, Pennsylvania. Megan, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Your match last weekend got canceled because of the weather forecast. By the time you take the field at Randolph-Macon Saturday, that'll be a 13-day layoff between games. How can the Generals overcome that long gap between official events?
This is something we talked about a lot last week when we realized our game was going to be canceled. We were able to play a scrimmage on Saturday, an inter-squad scrimmage, which I think was really helpful in kind of matching what a game would be like without exactly being a game. We've also been doing weekly themes, so like every week we pick a new theme to kind of keep our focus on what lies ahead. So I think last week's theme and this week's theme have really done a good job of keeping the team focused on like taking it one game at a time and like coming out strong in our first ODAC game.
W&L opened up the season against a pair of top 15 teams. You lost to Johns Hopkins, but got a draw against Carnegie Mellon on their home field. Has playing those high-level matches, has that already benefited the team?
I definitely think it has. Obviously, our first game against Hopkins didn't go quite as well as we had hoped, but instead of being defeated by that, we came out on Sunday against Carnegie Mellon and played a really strong match, and were able to get a draw, which was a much better result than Saturday. And I think that those games showed us the level of play that we have to be at if we want to compete in the NCAAs. So they've kind of served as like a driving force to push us, to motivate us to improve, and to play at that kind of high level that we know we're going to encounter in the future.
You were the 2016 ODAC Player of the Year. You're one of several players who were part of an ODAC championship team still on the roster 2 seasons later. How can you draw off of that experience as you try to get back to the top of the conference?
I think specifically for the senior class and the junior class this year, the 2 classes that were on the team that year, winning ODACs in 2016 showed us what level we have to play at to win, how good it feels to win. And we've tried to draw off a lot of themes from that year and bring them back this year. So like weekly themes, focusing on team chemistry, stuff like that. And I think particularly the leadership that we had that year in our senior captains was incredible. So I know myself and my fellow captains have tried to match that and incorporate their ideals into our team this year to kind of give us the same type of motivation and progress that we're going to have. What
are the Generals' expectations for 2018?
I think right now we're just excited to go out and play in ODACs and show what we can do. We've had a really great start to the year. We made a lot of progress during preseason, and we focused a lot on taking it like each week, 1 game at a time. So I think we're really just focused on like what lies ahead this weekend, and then after that we'll focus on the next game. But we're really excited to compete, and hopefully we can come out of this season with an ODAC trophy.
Megan, thanks for joining us. Best of luck the rest of the year.
Thank you for having me.
With me in the studio is Cooper Baird, senior cross-country captain from Fort Worth, Texas. Cooper, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
What's the prognosis on the Generals so far after preseason and your first 2 meets of the year?
Yeah, so far the prognosis is looking good. Generally, we treat these early season meets as more of a workout or in preparation for the later season, more important meets. And considering how well we performed in these early season meets, I think the prognosis looks very good.
W&L graduated a key contributor in Mackenzie Leroy, but most of your other top returners are back in the fold in 2018. How can you draw off of that experience this fall?
Yeah, so Mackenzie was our only senior last year, so we returned pretty much everyone else, and that experience is going to be really important going into these later season meets. But we also have a really strong freshman class with 4 guys coming in, probably one of the best freshman classes W&L cross country has ever seen. So the combination of experience there and the new talent is going to really serve us well in the postseason.
What kind of goals has W&L set for this year?
So the end goal is the same as last year. We want to make it to nationals, but along the way we want to win our 4th straight ODAC title. And then we're set up pretty well to do that. And then at regionals, the goal would be to get top 2, so that way we could get an automatic qualifier into nationals. But if not, we also want to beat some ranked teams earlier in the seasons. That way it kind of sets us up well for that other qualifying spot into nationals.
The Generals will run on the ODAC championship course up at Shenandoah this weekend. What are the advantages to seeing a postseason course earlier in the year?
Yeah, seeing postseason courses earlier kind of sets us up well for any difficult spots in the course. A lot of the older guys have already run this course before, but I think they changed it slightly up for this year. So running it before the end of the season will set us up well and know what to expect, at every turn of the course, whether it's a big hill or whatever we're going to face.
Well, Cooper, thanks for joining us. Good luck this year.
Thank you.
Here's a look at the upcoming weekend. Volleyball travels to Pennsylvania for the Eastern University Quad. The Generals will face Widener on Friday, followed by Saturday matches against the host Eagles and number 14 Johns Hopkins. Men's and women's cross country will get a preview of this year's ODAC championship course at Shenandoah's Hornet Harrier. Women's soccer opens up conference play at Randolph-Macon. Men's soccer also kicks off its ODAC slate, taking on Virginia Wesleyan at Watt Field, while field hockey plays host to 7th-ranked Christopher Newport. Women's soccer returns to the field on Sunday at St. Mary's, and women's tennis will travel to Fredericksburg this weekend for the ITA Southeast Region Championships. For W&L Sports Weekly, I'm Jeremy Franklin. Thanks for watching.